Today we are going to create a PBX network. To create a PBX network, we need to have a router first. Select the router 2811 since this router has telephony service. Next, select IP phones. For our practical, we are going to select 5 IP phones. Next step is to select the switch. We are going to select multi-layer switch to connect our IP phones to the router and create my IP phone network. Next step is to connect the networking devices. Select automatic cable and join them. Join the IP phones to the switches. So we finish all the IP phones connecting to the switch. Next step is to connect all the switches. Take automatic cable and join them. Next step is to connect the switch to the router. So finally we created a IPPBX network with 5 IP phones, a router and 3 multi-layer switches. Next step, we are going to configure our network. So first we will open our router, click router, go to CLI and press no. Next we are going to write, see the first step, configure the router. First command is enable. So enable, then configure terminal, next interface, fast Ethernet 0/0, IP address 172.16.10.1 255.255.0.0. In any paper, whatever the IP address for the router is given in the paper, you are supposed to change this IP address with the given IP address. Next, no shut down. So we finish making our fast Ethernet port on. Next step, we are going to configure our DHCP server. To configure DHCP server, first step is IP DHCP pool voice. Next, network 172.16.10.0 255.255.0.0. Default router 172.16.10.1 option IP 172.16.10.1 option 150 IP. Next, exit. So we configured now our DHCP route. Next we are going to configure the call manager express. So we will write telephony service. Since we have 5 phones, max DN5 max ePhones 5. We will give the IP address of the port from where they are going to take the IP address. So IP source address 172.16.10.1 port 2000. Auto assign 4 to 6. These are just exit numbers. Exit. So finally we finish the configuration of our router, make it a DHCP, and then create the telephony service. Now we have to create a VLAN, voice VLAN to all the switches. So next step, we are going to write it in the switch. So we open our first switch, go to CLI, and then first command is enable, then configure terminal. Next, interface range FA0/1-5, switch port voice VLAN 1. So we created a VLAN 1 in our switch. Same we are going to create for our second switch. Open, we go to CLI, first command enable configure terminal, interface range 1-5, switch port voice VLAN 1. Same command for our third multi-layer switch. Go to CLI, first enable terminal, interface range 5, switch port voice VLAN 1. So finally we created a VLAN called VLAN 1, and all the switches are part of that VLAN. If you see the router, we have given the IP address already. Now we will give the telephone their numbers. So we go back to our router, we open our router, next step is to give telephone numbers to our IP phones. We click on router, we go CLI, and then we will write our first command e phone -dn1. Next step, to give it number. Let's take, we give 54001. If everything is correct, the phone will be registered. If you have any mistake, you will not get this message. This message confirms that all the steps are correct and your IP phone has got the IP address and the number. So next we will give to our second phone. Next to our third phone. Next to our third phone. Next to our fourth phone. Next to our fifth phone. Once you get the message from the server that the phone is registered, all the phones are now registered to the network. If you see 3, 4, 1, 2, 5, all the phones has got the IP address and they are registered to the network. Next step, you can just open the phone, GUI mode. You can see the phone number. You click another phone, GUI, see the phone number. So when you dial 54005 call, it goes call to the other phone. They are connected. For exam point of view, after you finish the configuration, you need to enter all the details. So keep your cursor on the phone, you will get all the details like MAC address, IP address, gateway, line number. So this is a example for creating a IP PBX network using IP phones, multi-layer switch and 2811 router. Thank you.